Hey, you made it. I'm super happy you're here. Are you all cozy under your blanket? Maybe you've got one leg sticking out because you like to live a little wild. That's awesome. Welcome to this quiet, sleepy time. Before we start, I want to know something fun. Where are you listening from? Are you in your bedroom or maybe somewhere else? And what time is it where you are? I love hearing about it. It's like getting a little note from a friend. I read all your answers when I'm up way too late, feeling like a sleepy raccoon with big, tired eyes. Tonight, we're going to talk about something calm and kind of boring, but in a good way. It's perfect for helping you relax and drift off to sleep. Our story is called Boring History for Sleep: Why It Sucked to Live in a Medieval Fishing Village, and more. Now let's get comfy and start. Imagine you're in a soft, warm place, maybe with a pillow that's just right. We're going to take a slow, gentle trip back in time. Way back to a place called a medieval fishing village. That's a little town by the sea a long time ago where people worked hard and lived simple lives. It wasn't always fun to live there, but it was interesting in its own way. And don't worry, I'm going to keep this easy and cozy, so you can just listen and let your eyes get heavy. First, let's picture what a medieval fishing village was like. It's not like today with cars and lights and phones. Nope, this was hundreds of years ago when houses were made of mud and sticks and the only light at night came from a fire or maybe a candle. The village was right by the ocean, so you could always hear the waves going whoosh whoosh. The air smelled like salt and fish and sometimes wet wood. The people in the village worked hard every day, mostly catching fish to eat or sell. It was tough, but it was their life. Living in a medieval fishing village wasn't easy. Why did it suck? Well, for one thing, it was cold a lot of the time. The houses didn't have heaters like we do now. They had a fire in the middle of the room, but it wasn't always enough to keep you warm. The walls were thin, and sometimes the wind would sneak in and make you shiver. If it rained, the roof might leak, and you'd have to put a bucket under the drips. BRR, that doesn't sound fun, does it? Another reason it was hard was the work. People in the village had to get up super early when the sky was still dark to go out on their boats. They'd row out into the sea, which was sometimes calm but sometimes wild with big waves. They'd throw out nets to catch fish and then pull those nets back in. Those nets were heavy, especially when they were full of wriggling fish. It made their arms and backs hurt, and they did this every day no matter if it was sunny or stormy. That's a lot of hard work, right? The food wasn't great either. You didn't have a fridge or a grocery store back then. People ate what they could grow or catch. In a fishing village, that meant a lot of fish. Fish for breakfast, fish for lunch, fish for dinner. Sometimes they'd have bread or a kind of soup called pottage, which was like a thick, warm mush made from grains and vegetables. But there were no pizzas or ice cream or anything fancy. The fishing was bad, they might not have enough to eat, and that made their tummies grumble. The houses were small and crowded. A whole family might live in one room with kids and parents and maybe even a grandparent or two. They didn't have their own bedrooms. They all slept close together, sometimes on the floor with just a blanket or a mattress stuffed with straw. Straw is like dry grass and it wasn't very soft. It could poke you while you were trying to sleep. Plus, it might have bugs in it. Yuck. Oh, and let's talk about keeping clean. Taking a bath wasn't easy. They didn't have showers or hot water like we do. If you wanted to wash, you had to heat water over the fire, and that took a long time. So people didn't bathe as often as we do now. They might smell a bit fishy or sweaty. And their clothes, they didn't have washing machines, so they had to scrub everything by hand in cold water. That's a lot of work just to stay clean. The village was noisy too, but not like a city with cars and horns. It was noisy with animals and nature. There were goats bleating, dogs barking, and chickens clucking. The wind howled and the waves crashed. At night, you might hear creaky wooden shutters or the fire popping. It was hard to find quiet sometimes, but those sounds could also feel like a lullaby, helping you fall asleep. Even though life was tough, the people in the village found ways to be happy. They told stories by the fire. They sang songs while they worked. They loved their families and their little homes, even if they weren't perfect. And when the day was done, they were so tired that sleep came easily. They didn't have phones to keep them up or bright lights to make their eyes stay open. When it got dark, it was time to rest. Let's think about a person who lived in this village. We'll call him Edric. He's a fisherman and he's got a kind face with a big smile. His hands are rough from pulling nets and his clothes are patched because they get torn a lot. Edric loves his boat even though it's old and creaky. He loves his family too, his wife Aelith and their two kids who are always running around and laughing. Edric's life is simple, but he's okay with that. He works hard and at the end of the day, he's ready to snuggle up and sleep. Now let's imagine a day in Edric's life so you can see why it was hard but also kind of cozy. When the sun starts to rise, Edric wakes up. The gulls are squawking outside and the air is chilly. He yawns and stretches, then puts on his wool shirt and pants. They're scratchy, but they keep him warm. He steps outside and the village is just waking up. Smoke is coming out of chimneys and the sea is sparkling in the early light. Edric walks to the shore where his boat is waiting. He checks his nets to make sure there are no holes. If there's a hole, the fish will swim right out and that's no good. He climbs into his boat and starts rowing. The oars splash in the water and the boat rocks gently. Out on the sea, it's quiet except for the waves and the birds. Edric likes this time. It's peaceful, even if his arms get tired. When he's far enough out, he throws his nets into the water. They sink down, waiting for fish to swim into them. Edric sits and waits, watching the sky. Sometimes he sings a little song to pass the time. After a while, he pulls the nets back up. If he's lucky, they're full of shiny fish flapping around. If he's not lucky, they're empty and he has to try again. Either way, it's hard work and it makes him hungry. Back on shore, Edric sorts the fish. He keeps the big ones and throws the tiny ones back into the sea. A scruffy cat hangs around, hopping for a snack. Edric laughs and tosses it a small fish. Then he carries his catch to the village, where Aelith will cook some for dinner. The rest they'll dry or trade with neighbors. It's a busy day, but Edric doesn't rush. He moves slow and steady, like the waves. By the time the sun is going down, Edric is super tired. His back hurts and his eyes are heavy. He sits by the fire in his little house, eating pottage with his family. The kids tell stories about their day and Aelith hums a tune. The fire crackles and the room feels warm and safe. Edric's tummy is full and his body is ready to rest. When it's time for bed, Edric and his family curl up together. Their bed is just a big pile of straw with blankets on top. It's not fancy, but it's okay. The straw smells like the fields and the blankets are heavy and warm. The kids snuggle close and the dog lies by the door, snoring softly. Edric listens to the waves outside and feels his eyes closing. It's been a long day, but now it's time to sleep. That's what life was like in a medieval fishing village. It was hard, but it had its own kind of magic. The people worked together, loved each other, and found ways to rest even when things weren't perfect. As you listen to this, I hope you're feeling sleepy and calm. Maybe you're imagining the sound of the sea or the warmth of a fire. Maybe you're thinking about Edric and his little family, all tucked in for the night. Let's keep going with this cozy feeling. Imagine you're in that village too. You've had a long day of helping with the nets or carrying water. Your hands are tired and your feet are ready to rest. You sit by the fire, feeling its glow on your face. The room is quiet, except for the soft sounds of the night. The wind is singing outside and the waves are whispering. You take a deep breath and let it out slow. Your body feels heavy, like it's sinking into the softest bed. Now let's talk about why this boring history is so good for sleep. Stories like this are gentle. They don't have big surprises or loud noises. They're like a warm hug, helping your brain slow down. When you hear about Edric and his village, you don't have to think too hard. You can just listen and let the words carry you. It's like floating on a calm sea, rocking back and forth. Back in the medieval fishing village, everyone knew how to rest. They didn't have clocks telling them when to go to bed. They didn't have bright screens keeping them awake. When the sun went down, the world got dark, and that was their signal. Time to sleep. They'd light a fire, eat their pottage, and settle in. Their days were so busy that their bodies were ready for rest, and the dark was like a big, soft blanket wrapping them up. Sometimes they'd wake up in the middle of the night. That was normal back then. They might sit up and talk quietly or just lie there listening to the night. They didn't worry about it. They knew sleep would come back like a friend who always returns. And it did. They'd drift off again, dreaming of fish or stars or maybe nothing at all. Let's imagine you're there with Edric's family. You're lying on a straw bed and it's a little lumpy, but you don't mind. The blanket is warm and you can hear Aelith breathing softly next to you. The kids are giggling in their sleep, dreaming of chasing gulls. Outside, the sea is singing its whoosh, whoosh song. You feel safe and cozy, like nothing can bother you. As you listen to this, your own room might feel a little like that village. Maybe you can hear the hum of a fan or the tick of a clock. Maybe your blanket feels heavy and nice, like it's hugging you. Your body knows it's time to rest, just like Edric's did. You don't have to do anything special. Just let your eyes get heavy and your breathing get slow. Let's think about the village one more time. Picture the little houses all snug by the sea. The fires are glowing and the stars are shining above. Everyone is resting, from the fishermen to the kids to the dogs and goats. The world is quiet and the night is kind. You're part of that quiet too. You're sinking into it like slipping into warm water. I hope this story is making you feel sleepy and peaceful. If your eyes are closing, that's perfect. If you're still awake, that's okay too. Just keep listening to my voice, soft and slow. We're not in a hurry. We're just floating along like Edric's boat on a calm day. Let's talk a little more about why living in that village was tough but also kind of nice. The people there didn't have much, but they had each other. They shared their food and their stories. They helped fix each other's boats and houses. When someone was sad, the others would sit with them and listen. That made the hard days feel a little easier. Sleep was a big part of their life. They didn't think about it too much, they just did it. When the day was done, they'd lie down and let the night take over. They didn't need fancy pillows or perfect beds. They didn't need to check their phones or finish a to-do list. They just rested because that's what bodies do. You can rest like that too. You don't need to be in a medieval village. You don't need to be a fisherman like Edric. You just need to let yourself relax. Feel your blanket, your pillow, your bed. Feel your breathing going in and out. Let your thoughts get quiet like the village at night. Let's imagine one last scene. It's nighttime in the fishing village. The moon is high and the sea is sparkling under it. Edric's house is dark except for the soft glow of the fire. Everyone is asleep, their breaths mixing with the sounds of the night. The dog twitches, dreaming of fish. The kids are curled up, warm and safe. Edric and Aelith are holding hands even in their sleep. You're there too, in your own cozy spot. The world is slowing down and your body is ready to rest. The story is fading like the fire's last flicker. You don't need to hold on to it. Just let it go, let it drift away. The night is here and it's kind. It's holding you just like it held Edric and his village. So wherever you are, whatever time it is, I hope you're feeling calm. I hope your eyes are heavy and your heart is light. Thank you for listening, for being here with me. You're like a friend sharing this quiet moment. Now let's say goodnight soft and slow. Good night, friend, sleep well. Let's take a trip back in time, way back to a place called a medieval fishing village. This was a long, long time ago, hundreds of years before you were born. It's not like the world you know now, with cars, phones, and big stores. This was a simple place right by the sea where life moved slow and steady like the waves. I'm going to tell you all about it, using easy words so you can imagine it clearly like a picture in your mind. Get cozy because this story is calm and quiet, perfect for relaxing. Imagine a little village tucked close to a big, cold sea. The water is gray and sparkly, stretching out forever. When you stand by the shore, you can hear the waves going whoosh, whoosh like they're singing a soft song. The air smells salty like when you're at the beach, but it also smells like wet wood and maybe a little like fish. That's because this village is all about fishing. The people here spend their days catching fish to eat or trade. The houses in the village are small, not like the houses you see today. They're made of something called wattle and daub. That's a fancy name, but it just means they take sticks and weave them together like a basket, then smear mud all over to make walls. The mud dries hard, but it's not perfect. Sometimes the wind sneaks through little cracks and you feel chilly inside. The roofs are made of straw, like the dry grass you see in fields. The straw keeps out some of the rain, but when a big storm comes, the roof might leak. Drip, drip, drip goes the water, and you have to put a bucket under it. That's not very fun, is it? Life in this village is slow. There's no rushing around like we do now with school and sports and all kinds of activities. Here, everything depends on the sea and the fish. The people wake up when the sun rises and they go to sleep when it gets dark. The tides, the way the sea moves in and out, tell them when to go fishing. If the tide is high, it's a good time to row out in a boat. If it's low, they might stay on shore and fix their nets. It's like the sea is their boss and they listen to it every day. What do people do in this village? Mostly they work, eat, and sleep. That's their whole day. Work means fishing, fixing boats, or making nets. It's hard work and it makes their hands rough and their backs tired. Eating means having simple food like fish or a kind of soup called pottage. Pottage is like a thick mush made from grains like barley and maybe some vegetables like onions. It's warm and filling, but it's not exciting like pizza or ice cream. And sleeping. Well, that's important because they're so tired from all that work. They don't have TVs or games to keep them up late. When the sun goes down, it's time to rest. This life isn't fancy. There are no big castles or shiny things here. It's not like a fairy tale with princesses and dragons. It's just a plain, honest life. The people work hard and they don't have a lot, but they keep going. They love their families, their little houses, and the sea, even if it's cold and rough sometimes. There's something nice about that, don't you think? It's like they know what matters, even if their life is tough. Let's talk more about the village so you can really see it. Picture the houses all lined up along a dirt path. The path is bumpy, and when it rains, it turns into mud. Squish, squish go your feet as you walk. The houses are close together and they look kind of crooked, like they're leaning on each other for support. Each one has a little door and maybe a tiny window with a wooden shutter. The shutter keeps out the wind, but it also makes the house dark inside. There's no glass in the windows because glass is too expensive for these people. Inside a house, it's small and cozy, but not always comfy. There's one big room where everyone does everything: cooking, eating, sleeping, even talking with friends. In the middle of the room is a fire burning in a little pit. The fire keeps the house warm and cooks the food. Smoke curls up and sneaks out through a hole in the roof, but sometimes it stays inside and makes your eyes sting. The floor is just dirt, packed down hard, and it's cold under your feet. There's not much furniture, maybe a wooden bench or a table, and some blankets for sleeping. The people in the village wear simple clothes. They don't have closets full of shirts and shoes like we do. They might have one or two outfits made of wool or linen. Wool is warm but scratchy, like a sweater that itches. Linen is lighter, but it's not as warm. Their clothes get dirty fast because they're working with fish and mud all day. Washing clothes is a big job. They have to carry water from a stream, heat it over the fire, and scrub everything by hand. That takes a long time, so they don't wash their clothes as often as we do. What else is in the village? There are animals everywhere. Chickens cluck and peck at the ground. Goats wander around eating grass or nibbling on someone's straw roof. Dogs run between the houses barking at seagulls. These animals are important. Chickens give eggs, goats give milk, and dogs keep rats away. But they also make the village noisy. Baa, cluck, woof, you hear those sounds all day long, mixed with the waves and the wind. The sea is the heart of the village. It's always there, big and wide, sometimes calm and sometimes wild. On a quiet day, the water sparkles like it's full of tiny stars. On a stormy day, it roars and crashes, sending waves high up the shore. The people know the sea like a friend, but they also respect it because it can be dangerous. They learn to watch the sky and the water to know when it's safe to go out in their boats. Their boats are small, made of wood, with oars to row and sails to catch the wind. They're not fancy, but they're strong enough to carry the fishermen out and back. Fishing is the biggest job in the village. The men row out to sea, sometimes before the sun is even up. They throw nets into the water and wait for fish to swim into them. Then they pull the nets up, heavy with flapping fish. It's hard work and their arms get sore. Sometimes they catch a lot and everyone's happy. Sometimes they catch nothing and their tummies stay empty. That's how it goes when you depend on the sea. Women in the village work hard too. They don't usually go out in the boats, but they do a lot on shore. They clean the fish, cutting them open and taking out the guts. They dry the fish in the sun or smoke them over a fire so they last longer. They cook meals, mend clothes, and take care of the kids. Everyone helps, even the children. Kids might carry water, feed the chickens, or pick up sticks for the fire. There's always something to do. Let's talk about the weather because it's a big deal in the village. The sea makes the air cold and damp, even in summer. In winter, it's freezing and the wind stings your face like tiny needles. Storms come often, with rain that soaks everything and waves that crash against the shore. When a storm hits, the fishermen stay home because it's too dangerous to go out. They huddle by the fire, trying to stay warm and hope the roof doesn't leak too much. Even though life is hard, there are happy moments. The people tell stories at night, sitting around the fire. They laugh about the time a goat ate someone's hat or a fisherman fell into the water. They sing songs, slow and soft, about the sea and the stars. They share what they have, even if it's just a bowl of pottage or a warm spot by the fire. They care about each other, and that makes the village feel like a big family. As the sun goes down, the village gets quiet. The sky turns pink and gold, and the waves look like they're glowing. The fishermen come back from the sea, their boats bobbing on the water. The kids stop playing and run home. The animals settle down, curling up in their spots. It's like the whole world takes a deep breath and says, time to rest. The people feel it too. Their bodies are tired from working all day, and their eyes are heavy. They know sleep is coming, and that feels good. Sleep is a big part of life here. The people don't have clocks or alarms, but they don't need them. The sun and the sea tell them what to do. When it gets dark, they light their fires, eat their simple meals, and get ready for bed. They don't have soft mattresses or fluffy pillows. They sleep on blankets or straw, which is like dry grass stuffed into a sack. It's not super comfy, but it's okay. They're so tired that they fall asleep fast, listening to the waves and the wind. Let's imagine you're in this village just for a moment. You're standing by the sea, feeling the cool air on your face. The waves are splashing gently and a seagull flies overhead, calling out. You look at the houses, small and cozy, with smoke coming from their chimneys. You hear a goat bleating and a dog barking. The path is muddy, but it leads to a warm fire and a bowl of pottage. You're tired from helping with the nets, but it's a good kind of tired, the kind that makes you ready to rest. This village isn't perfect. It's cold, it's hard, and sometimes it's a little smelly, but it's honest. The people work together, share what they have, and take care of each other. They don't have a lot, but they have enough. And when the day is done, they sleep knowing tomorrow will come with more fish, more waves, and more stories. Now let's get ready to meet someone special from this village. His name is Edric, and he's a fisherman. He's kind and hardworking, with a smile that makes you feel warm inside. He's just like you in some ways because he gets tired and needs rest too. But his life is so different from yours, and that's what makes this story interesting. So as the sun dips low, painting the waves gold, let's follow Edric and see what his world is like. Get ready to feel cozy and sleepy because this is just the beginning. Let's meet someone special from our medieval fishing village. His name is Edric, and he's a fisherman. He's not a king or a knight or anyone famous. He's just a regular person like you or me. But his life is so different because he lives by the sea in a time long, long ago. I'm going to tell you all about Edric, using simple words that are easy to understand, like a story you'd read in school. This is a calm, cozy story, perfect for relaxing and feeling sleepy. So get comfy under your blanket and let's learn about Edric. Edric is a man who loves the sea. He's not young, but he's not super old either. Maybe he's as old as your parents or a favorite teacher. His hands are rough, like the scratchy nets he uses to catch fish. Those nets are made of rope and they get heavy when they're wet, so his hands have to be strong. But they're also a little sore sometimes because he works so hard. When you shake Edric's hand, it feels like touching tree bark, tough but warm. Edric has a smile that's a little crooked, like a path that's not quite straight. It's a kind smile, the kind that makes you feel safe. His teeth aren't perfect, but no bodies are in the village. He smiles a lot, especially when he's with his family or when he sees a funny seagull stealing a fish. His eyes are special too. They squint because he's spent years looking at the sea, watching for fish or storms. The sun and wind make his eyes crinkle at the corners, like he's always just a little bit happy, even when he's tired. He's not a hero, not like in stories with dragons or battles. Edric is just a man who does his job every day. He catches fish, fixes his boat, and takes care of his family. But there's something nice about that. He's steady, like the waves that come to the shore over and over. You can count on Edric to be there, doing what needs to be done with his crooked smile and his squinty eyes. Edric loves two things most in the world, his boat and his hearth. His boat is old and creaky, made of wood that's worn smooth by the sea. It's not big or fancy, just a little rowboat with a small sail. When Edric climbs in, the boat groans like it's saying, "Oh, here we go again." But Edric doesn't mind. He pats the boat like it's a friend and rows out to the sea. That boat carries him to where the fish are, so it's important to him, even if it's not perfect. His hearth is the fire in his house. It's not a big fireplace like you might see in a castle. It's just a small pit in the middle of his one-room house where he and his family burn wood to stay warm. The hearth is where they cook their food, like fish or a mushy soup called pottage. It's where they sit at night telling stories or just resting. The fire makes the room glow, and Edric loves that warm, cozy feeling. When he's by the hearth, he feels safe and happy, like everything's okay. Edric gets sleepy early in the day. By noon, when the sun is high in the sky, he's already yawning. That's because his work is hard. He wakes up before the sun when the sky is still dark and goes out to fish. He rows his boat, throws nets into the water, and pulls them back up, heavy with fish. Then he rows back to shore and carries the fish to the village. All that makes his arms and back ache. But when the sun is at its highest, Edric's eyes get droopy, and he lets out big yawns like a sleepy dog. When he's working, Edric dreams of his bed. It's not a fancy bed like yours, with a soft mattress and fluffy pillows. It's just a pile of straw like dry grass stuffed into a cloth sack. The straw is lumpy and sometimes pokes him, but Edric doesn't care. To him, that bed is the best place in the world after a long day. He thinks about lying down, pulling a wool blanket over him, and listening to the waves outside. The waves go whoosh, whoosh like a lullaby, and they help him fall asleep fast. Edric is lovable, but not in a loud, showy way. He's quiet like the sea on a calm day. He's the kind of person who's always there doing what he's supposed to do. If someone needs help fixing a net, Edric is there with his rough hands. If a kid in the village drops their fish, Edric picks it up and smiles. He doesn't talk a lot, but when he does, his voice is soft and kind, like he's telling you a secret. Everyone in the village likes Edric because he's steady and good. Let's imagine Edric's house so you can picture where he lives. It's small, just one room made of mud and sticks. The walls are bumpy and the roof is straw, so it leaks a little when it rains. Inside, there's a dirt floor that's cold under your feet. The hearth is in the middle with a fire burning low. There's a wooden bench, a table, and some blankets for sleeping. That's all the furniture. It's not much, but it's home, and Edric loves it. Edric doesn't live alone. He has a family. His wife is named Aelith, and she's kind, with a laugh that sounds like bells. They have 2 kids, a boy named Wolf and a girl named Frida. Wolf is about your age, maybe a little older, and he loves running around and chasing seagulls. Frida is younger, and she likes to sit by the hearth and hum songs. There's also a dog named Scruff, who's shaggy and always sniffing for fish. The family sleeps close together on their straw beds, and Scruff curls up by the door, snoring loudly. Every morning, Edric wakes up early. The gulls are squawking outside and the air is cold. He yawns, stretches, and puts on his wool clothes. They're scratchy, but they keep him warm. He steps outside and the village is quiet, just waking up. The sea is sparkling and the sky is turning pink. Edric walks to the shore where his boat is waiting. He checks his nets, making sure there are no holes. If a net has a hole, the fish will swim right out, and that's no good. Edric climbs into his boat and starts rowing. The oars splash in the water and the boat rocks gently. He loves this time of day when it's just him and the sea. The waves are calm and the air smells fresh. He rows out far where the water is deep and throws his nets in. Then he waits, watching the sky or humming a little song. After a while, he pulls the nets up. If he's lucky, they're full of shiny fish. If he's not, they're empty, and he tries again. Back on shore, Edric sorts the fish. He keeps the big ones and throws the small ones back. A scruffy cat hangs around, hopping for a snack. Edric laughs and tosses it a fish. Then he carries his catch to the village, where Aelith will cook some for dinner. The rest they'll dry in the sun or trade with neighbors. It's a long day, and by the time Edric is done, he's so tired he can barely keep his eyes open. Edric's favorite part of the day is evening when the work is done. He sits by the hearth with his family. The fire crackles and the room feels warm. Aelith stirs a pot of pottage and the kids tell stories about their day. Wolf talks about a big wave he saw and Frida sings a song about a fish. Scruff lies by the fire dreaming of chasing cats. Edric listens, his crooked smile growing. This is when he feels happiest, surrounded by the people he loves. When it's time for bed, Edric and his family get ready together. Aelith banks the fire, piling ashes over the coals so it stays warm till morning. The kids spread out their blankets, giggling as they find their spots. Edric checks the door to make sure it's closed tight. Then they all lie down on their straw beds. The straw rustles and pokes a little, but it's okay. Edric pulls a blanket over him, feeling its weight. He listens to the waves outside and the soft breathing of his family. His eyes close and he's asleep in no time. Edric's life isn't easy. The sea is cold, the work is hard, and sometimes there aren't enough fish. His house is small and the roof leaks. His clothes are scratchy and his hands hurt, but Edric doesn't complain. He loves his boat, his hearth, and his family. He loves the village with its noisy goats and friendly neighbors. He loves the sea even when it's rough. To him, this is a good life, even if it's simple. Let's think about what makes Edric so lovable. It's not because he's rich or strong or famous. It's because he's kind. He shares his fish with the cat and his stories with the kids. He helps his neighbors fix their boats. He listens when Aelith talks about her day. He's patient, even when Wolf spills the pottage or Frida forgets to feed the chickens. He's like a rock in the sea, always there, no matter what. Edric also loves little things. He loves the way the sea looks at sunrise, all pink and gold. He loves the smell of pottage cooking. He loves the sound of Frida's songs and Wolf's laughs. He loves the feel of his boat under his hands, even when it creaks. These small things make him happy, and that happiness makes him someone you want to be around. Sometimes Edric is funny too. One day, he slipped on a wet rock and fell into the water. Splash, everyone laughed, even Edric. He stood up, dripping wet, and said, "Well, I needed a bath." Another time, Scruff stole a fish right from Edric's hands and ran off. Edric chased him, waving his arms while the kids cheered. These moments make the village feel warm and friendly, like a big family. Edric's days are all pretty much the same. Wake up, fish, eat, sleep, but he likes that sameness. It's like a song that repeats, soft and steady. He knows what to expect, and that makes him feel calm. When he's out in his boat, he doesn't worry about big things. He just rows, waits, and pulls in his nets. When he's home, he doesn't rush. He sits, eats, and talks. That slowness is part of why he's so sleepy by noon. Let's imagine you're in the village meeting Edric. You see him by the shore, fixing a net. His hands move slow and careful, tying knots in the rope. He looks up and smiles his crooked smile. "Hello," he says, his voice soft. "Wanna help?" You sit with him and he shows you how to weave the net. It's hard, but he's patient. He tells you about a big fish he caught once and you laugh. You feel like you've known him forever, even though you just met. Now let's picture Edric at home. It's evening and the fire is glowing. He's sitting on the bench, eating pottage from a wooden bowl. Aelith is humming and the kids are playing a game with pebbles. Scruff is snoring by the fire. Edric looks tired but happy. He yawns and Aelith teases him, saying, "You're sleepier than the dog." Edric laughs and the room feels warm and full of love. As the night gets darker, Edric's thoughts turn to sleep. He loves his straw bed, even if it's not soft. He loves the sound of the waves, like a song that never stops. He loves knowing his family is close, safe, and warm. These things make him feel ready to rest, like the village is hugging him goodnight. Edric's life is hard, but it's good in its own way. He doesn't need a lot to be happy, just his boat, his hearth, and his family. He's not trying to be a hero or do big things. He's just Edric, the fisherman with his rough hands and his crooked smile, and that's enough. So as you listen to this, think about Edric in his little village. Picture him rowing his creaky boat or sitting by his hearth. Feel how tired he is, but also how calm. Let his story make you feel cozy and sleepy, like you're sinking into your own bed. Edric's ready for rest, and maybe you are too. Let's keep going, slow and steady, just like the tide. Edric wakes up when the gulls start screaming. Those are the noisy birds that fly over the sea, and they squawk loud enough to wake the whole village. It's early, so early that the sky is just a tiny bit pink, like someone spilled a little paint on a dark blanket. The rest of the sky is still gray and sleepy, not quite ready to be daytime. Edric lies on his straw bed, which is lumpy and rustles when he moves. He listens to the gulls for a moment, their cries mixing with the soft whoosh of the waves outside. It's the same sound every morning, and it tells him it's time to get up. He stretches his arms and legs, slow and careful. His back makes a creaking sound, like an old wooden door that needs oil. Edric is used to it. He's not young anymore, and all the years of rowing boats and pulling nets have made his body a little stiff. But he doesn't mind. He yawns, a big loud yawn that makes his eyes water. Then he sits up, rubbing his hands over his face. His beard is scratchy under his fingers, and he gives it a little scratch like you might pet a cat. Edric's house is small, just one room made of mud and sticks. It's dark inside because the sun isn't up yet, and the only light comes from a few glowing coals in the hearth. The hearth is the fire pit in the middle of the room where his family cooks and stays warm. The air is chilly, and Edric can see his breath puff out like tiny clouds. He shivers a little but knows he'll warm up once he starts moving. He looks around the room. His wife Aelith is still asleep, curled up under a wool blanket. Her breathing is soft and steady like a quiet song. Their two kids, Wolf and Frida, are sleeping nearby, tangled in their own blankets. Wolf is snoring a little, and Frida mumbles something in her dreams. Scruff the shaggy dog is by the door, twitching as he dreams of chasing seagulls. Edric smiles at his family. They're all safe and cozy, and that makes him feel good. Edric stands up, moving slow so he doesn't wake anyone. His straw bed rustles again, and a piece of straw pokes his leg. He brushes it off and reaches for his clothes. He pulls on his wool tunic, which is like a long shirt that reaches his knees. The wool is thick and warm, but it's scratchy, like wearing a sweater that itches. He doesn't have a lot of clothes, just this tunic and a pair of pants, both patched from years of use. He pulls on the pants, then his boots, which are made of leather and a little worn out. They're cold from sitting on the dirt floor all night, but they'll keep his feet dry. He scratches his beard again, thinking about the day ahead. It's going to be a long one like always. There's fishing to do, nets to check, and fish to sort, but Edric doesn't rush. He moves slow like the village itself, which is just starting to wake up. He steps over to the hearth and adds a small stick to the coals. The fire crackles and a tiny flame pops up, making the room a little brighter. He holds his hands over the warmth for a moment, letting it chase away the chill. Edric opens the wooden door and a blast of cold air rushes in. It smells like salt and sea with a hint of wet wood. He steps outside, closing the door softly behind him. The village is quiet, but it's stirring like a sleepy animal waking up. Smoke curls from the chimneys of other houses, twisting into the pink sky. The houses are small like Edric's, made of mud and straw with bumpy walls and leaky roofs. They're lined up along a dirt path that's still damp from last night's dew. The sea is right there, just a few steps away. It whispers, its waves lapping gently against the shore. The water looks gray in the early light, but it's calm, which is good for fishing. Edric takes a deep breath, filling his lungs with the salty air. He loves this time of day when the world feels new and quiet. The gulls are still squawking, flying in circles overhead. One lands nearby, cocking its head at Edric like it's saying, "What are you doing up so early?" Edric walks down to the shore, his boots crunching on the pebbles. The beach is a mix of sand and small rocks with bits of seaweed scattered around. His boat is there, tied to a wooden post. It's a small boat made of wood that's weathered from years in the water. It creaks when he climbs in, but Edric trusts it.